Hey, good afternoon everybody and welcome to SeaWorld. I haven't done a coaster video in a while and it's about time. So today we're going to do the ultimate guide to SeaWorld's roller coasters. We're going to talk about them, we're going to ride them, and we're going to rank them. So come along with me as we have an ultimate roller coaster day.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the greatest show on earth.
So as I walk through the gates here, it looks, based on looking at the parking lot, looks to be a pretty slow day. I've been sitting here thinking, should I do them in any kind of order or should I do them just as they come? I think I'm gonna just do them as they come. So let's head into the park and see where it takes us. So with anything that you're ranking, you have to come up with a ranking system and how you're gonna judge it. So for this particular ranking system, I've come up with 4 criteria. The first is theme. The second is speed and ride comfort. The third is enjoyability. And the fourth is re-rideability. So each of the coasters gets a numbered score between 1 and 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest in each of these categories. And that's how we're going to determine who our winner is.
Our first coaster today is Manta. Manta is a steel flying roller coaster. The attraction allows guests to encounter numerous species of rays before boarding a manta ray-shaped train that takes them on a 3,359-foot long ride above the park, reaching top speeds of 56 miles per hour. Designed by Swiss firm B&M, Manta restrains riders in the prone position and features 4 inversions, a pretzel loop, 2 inline twists, and 1 corkscrew. The coaster was opened to the public on May 22nd, 2009.
I want to talk a little bit about Manta for me. Manta is probably the coaster that I least enjoy. I don't know if I would say in Orlando, but definitely here at SeaWorld, maybe in Orlando. And it's really only because it's the only coaster that really makes me queasy. I've mentioned this before in these videos, that it really is, I don't know if it's because you're laying on your stomach or if it's just because that big old first loop in that position, you're going head first, it turns my stomach. So that one for me is always a tough one to rank high because I'm slightly biased as far as how I feel when I ride it. I'm giving Manta a 4 for theme because it's not so much the actual ride itself, but the queue leading up to it has those fish tanks and has some manta rays and sharks, and it's probably one of the best roller coaster queues in Orlando. So next comes speed and ride comfort. This one, it's gonna get a 3 for me, not because of the speed, it definitely has some speed, but it's because of the ride comfort. It's just not a comfortable position. Your legs are restrained, your ankles are restrained, and it's just not my favorite. For enjoyability, I'm giving this one a 2. Like I said, I mentioned, I just don't enjoy it, and this is definitely a personal thing. And then for re-rideability, I'm also giving that a 2 because you know, again, it makes me queasy, so there's no way I'm going to re-ride it, especially not in the same trip. Usually for me, not even but a couple of times a year. That gives Manta a total of 11 out of 20.
Kraken is manufactured by B&M. The ride opened as the second longest floorless coaster in the world on June 1st, 2000, with a track length measuring 4,177 feet. It reaches a maximum of 65 miles per hour. Kraken stands 153 feet tall. The ride was the fastest roller coaster at SeaWorld until the opening of Mako. It features 7 inversions, including 2 vertical loops, a dive loop, a spiraling camelback zero-G roll, and a flat spin corkscrew. In late 2016, Kraken underwent a refurbishment and reopened as Kraken Unleashed. A virtual reality experience was added to the ride, but due to technical difficulties and extensive wait times, the feature was permanently removed the following year.
Kraken, I would say, is probably the most intense coaster here just because of the sheer amount of inversions that it has. It's what I would call a neck breaker, meaning that it's fast, it's got a lot of intense technical elements. Be warned, it is not for the faint of heart.
I'm feeling electric in my mind. I'm feeling electric, it's the space and time. I'm feeling electric, let's hit the floor. I'm feeling electric, I just want some more.
so the next coaster we rode today was Kraken. For Kraken, we're going to give Kraken a 3 for theme, and that's really only because they just repainted the queue with some really cool artwork, because the coaster itself has 0 theming at all. The on-ride theming, there's just nothing. So that may be a little bit of a gift for Kraken. Number 2 is speed and ride comfort. I'm giving that one a 4 because it's fast, it's comfortable, it does have shoulder restraints, but they're not bad. They feel okay. And then for enjoyability, I'm also giving it a 4, even though it like I said, it is pretty intense. I personally just really enjoy that ride. And then the last one for Kraken is going to be re-rideability. We're going to give that a 3 just because, again, it's not something I feel like I have to ride every time I'm at SeaWorld, and it's also just like I couldn't ride it like 2 times in a row. I would be sick. So the score for Kraken total is going to be 14 out of 20.
Before we move on to our next coaster, I wanted to take a moment to talk about what's going on currently at SeaWorld. SeaWorld's gearing up for yet another year with another new roller coaster. Arriving in spring of 2024, Penguin Trek is set to be a family-friendly coaster with snowmobile-style ride cars that take riders on an adventure through the Antarctic wilderness. The new coaster is under construction in the space previously occupied by the indoor trackless ride Antarctica Empire of the Penguin. The coaster includes 2 launches and a top speed of 43 miles per hour through more than 3,000 feet of track. There's also both an indoor and outdoor scenes as part of the story that follows a penguin research mission. Penguin Trek will have a height requirement of 42 inches. It's categorized as a family thrill, putting it somewhere between the kid-friendly Grover coaster in Sesame Street Land and Icebreaker, which opened in 2022. We'll have more details as we get closer to this opening of a new SeaWorld coaster. Mako is a steel roller coaster manufactured by B&M. The hypercoaster opened to the public on June 10, 2016. Mako is named after the Mako shark and is located in the Sea of Mystery section of the park. It reaches a height of 200 feet and a maximum speed of 73 miles per hour. Features a track length of 4,760 feet. The coaster was marketed as the tallest, fastest, and longest roller coaster in Orlando, and has been well received, ranking every year since its opening in the top 50 of the annual Golden Ticket Awards.
Mako for me is one of the best coasters in Orlando. If you don't believe me, get to SeaWorld and ride it yourself. It was one of the first coasters that I got to ride as a resident here in Florida, because SeaWorld was the first park that opened in 2020 after the pandemic. And so I have an affinity for Mako just because it was kind of realizing the dream that moving to Orlando was for me. All right, so on to our third coaster of the day. We did Mako. Let's talk about Mako. Mako for theme, I'm giving that one a shameful 2 because Mako is not very well themed. There's a little bit of theming in the queue, I mean just a tiny bit, and then the coaster itself has no theme. For speed and ride comfort, this one gets a 5 for me because it's fast, it's so fast. And it's very comfortable. There's only a lap restraint that fits directly over your lap. There's nothing over the top half of you. It's the best way to ride a coaster for me. It feels like you're the most free, and you really get to feel the speed because you're not restrained. For enjoyability, it's also a 5. It's my favorite coaster here. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And re-rideability, you guessed it, is also a 5 because I could ride that one all day. All right, so that gives Mako a score of 17 out of 20. 17 out of 20 for Mako.
Icebreaker is a launch steel roller coaster. manufactured by Premier Rides. Icebreaker reaches a maximum height of 93 feet with a maximum speed of 52 miles per hour and a total track length of 1,900 feet. Originally scheduled to open for the 2020 season, its opening was delayed indefinitely due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In January 2022, it was announced that Icebreaker would open on February 18, 2022.
Icebreaker is considered a family coaster. It's really, maybe mild is the right word for it. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but it's not really intense. I'd say it's a good fit for kids that are a little bit older and want to be a little bit braver than riding the kiddie coaster, but not quite ready for Mako yet. Okay, up until very recently, this was the newest coaster here at SeaWorld. Let's talk about Icebreaker. For me, Icebreaker theming, it just gets a 2. One of the things that SeaWorld lacks a little bit on is theming. There's a loose theme, but it's not Disney level theming or even Universal level theming. But that's also why SeaWorld can get a new ride up from start to finish in the amount of time it takes Disney to file the permits. For ride comfort and speed, it's going to get a 3 for me because it does have a little bit of speed. It's got a vertical spike, and that's fun. That's really fun. For enjoyability, it gets a 4. It is fun. I can't take anything away from it. It's just a fun coaster to ride. And then re-rideability, we're going to give that one a 3. Again, not something I feel like I need to ride every time I come, but definitely could ride again if I wanted to. That gives Icebreaker a total of 12 out of 20.
Pipeline, the surf coaster, or simply Pipeline, is a launched roller coaster manufactured by B&M. The roller coaster opened on May 27, 2023. The coaster is themed to surfing, featuring surfboard-shaped vehicles. The roller coaster is a first-of-a-kind prototype where the seats of riders shift up and down along the course layout. It reaches a height of 110 feet and a maximum speed of 60 miles per hour. It features a track length of 2,950 feet. Following Mako, Manta, and Kraken, Pipeline is the 4th B&M coaster located at
Now,
SeaWorld.
Pipeline is a one-of-a-kind, brand new type of stand-up coaster. The seat sort of moves up and down, but you are standing. For guys, that can be a little tough if you don't plant your feet in the right moments. All right, that brings us to the current newest coaster here at SeaWorld, Pipeline. Pipeline for our theme gets a 4, and I'm giving it a 4 not because of the actual theme of the coaster, but because they spent a little more time and effort into theming the area. It's obviously based around surfing, and there's surf music and signage and just some general theming elements around the coaster. For speed and ride comfort, we're going to give that one a 2 just because not the most comfortable ride, and especially if you're a guy, protect yourself. It's not going to be comfortable at all. For enjoyability, I'm going to give it a 4 because it is fun. It's a fun ride. Last, for re-rideability, I'm going to give that a 3 because again, it's fun and I could re-ride it. It's not something I feel compelled to ride every single time here at SeaWorld. So that gives Pipeline a score of 13 of 20.
I want to be with you underneath the lights. See the world with you.
So that brings us to our final tally. So coming in at number 5 is Manta with a score of 11 out of 20. Number 4, Icebreaker with a score of 12 out of 20. Next one, Pipeline, number 3, 13 out of 20. Number 2 is Kraken with a 14 out of 20. And then, no surprise to anyone, Mako coming in at number 1 with 17 out of 20. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of our day here at SeaWorld. And thank you for coming along with me as we rank these coasters and ride these coasters together. Guys, it's always fun here at SeaWorld. I speak highly of SeaWorld all the time, and I do mean it. They're not perfect. They have some issues, but I love this park, and I will always support it. And I hope on your Florida vacation that you find some time to come here too. But like I always say, if never lost, then never found. So go get it.